Oh, I wasn't looking at the clock.
And we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever and whenever you are in the world. I feel like I should ask, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego or something?
Rara and Dr. Energy are in the house,
We in the house.
broadcasting to you live from, well, we're in Ontario, Canada. We're in that part of the world together. I'm in Niagara on the Lake, pretty Niagara on the Lake, a
Right
little bit
on
rainy.
Lake Ontario. You have a beautiful space.
Thank you. It is really nice. So I'm really happy to be broadcasting to you live from my bridge room, my BU room, my gratitude room. This is a room where it all happens. There's some forceful, gentle energy, just like you have in your headquarters. What do you call it? The Bat Cave? Is that what you
Bat
call it?
cave, the
What do we
energy
call it?
cave. I don't know. I haven't come up with I haven't really, sometimes I call it the Bat cave, the headquarters. I don't. Some people want to call it a man cave. It's not a man cave. It's kind of a
No.
studio slash office. Um, it serves multi purposes. I mean, I like to live more minimally, and so I'm in a smaller space, and so I'm using space in the best way that I can.
You utilize it. Every place we live, I have what's called a bridge room. And it's a bridge room, not just because of my company, because it's a room that bridges things from one place that we are to another and the people and all the things that we do in life. So it just makes a lot of sense to say, I'm here in my bridge room,
Right.
just doing what we do, doing what we like to do.
That's better. I just had to dial in my lights there for a second. So
Look at
what do we?
your BU in the background. That's pretty cool.
I know. So I know for some people it can be a little distracting because there's movement there. That's why when I recorded that, I actually imported it into a video editing software and actually slowed it down so it moves slower, so it's not as epilepsy seizure inducing. Because I've seen those and those aren't necessarily fun.
Sorry. Whoops.
All right, so let's get right to it today. We are going to be talking about, are you ready for your close-up? Sorry if I freaked anybody out there. Are you ready for your close-up? You've got 10 minutes to present. How do you structure it? What do you do? What do you say? Do you have a structure for your presentations? And as we promised last week, we have actually created a document that we're going to share at the end. It gives you the overview of it, and then we're going to show you a page that we filled in order to do this live stream, and then there's going to be a blank page to it where you can take it and print it off and use it however you see fit. So let's talk
about let's talk about the videos first real quick. Let's just go back to last week. We'll go into the 10-minute presentation. So we gave a 1-minute presentation. We talked about that. We talked about a
3-minute.
I'm going to say 3-minute presentation.
Yep.
We talked about a 5-minute presentation, and now we're talking about a 10-minute presentation. And one of the idea suggestions that we put out there, in case you're joining live for the first time, is that do what you do, get in front of your phone, your desktop, your laptop, and send us a video. And by sending us a video of whatever, like, we don't care. Like, I don't mean we don't care. We care, but where there's no rules to follow. Like, it has to be this, and you have to have
5
light.
minutes max. That's the only rule.
Right. Couldn't go over the limit. You don't have to have lighting. Just do what you do. Send it in to us. Now, here's some of the feedback that we got. I just want to share this. There was a little trepidation. Did we scare you? We didn't mean to scare you. Just put your phone on, man. Just go, hey, let me tell you this, and just do it for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Just don't go over 5 minutes. So I heard feedback. I've watched videos. I have been submitted videos, but not for BU. So I have observed videos over the last week because I'm privy to that. I won't call anybody out, use any names, but I know that you're not submitting them to BU because you chose not to, which is okay. Like, we get that.
Yep.
But I'm encouraging you that if you did send the video to me, because that's where it went, and it didn't get to us where we are right now. Think about it before we said before, today when we do our show, Just think about it. You did the video, you did the time. You did the crime, now pay the time. Does that make sense? If you didn't do it, you sat in front of the camera, you smiled, you said what you had to say. It's 2 minutes, it's 3 minutes, even if it's 1 minute.
Yeah.
I'm looking at those videos and they're lovely. I would love to pick a winner from one of the ones that I saw. Forget the ones that are probably still sitting on your phone or in your Dropbox or, in your Drive. So I just want to encourage you as another, like, for your quick starts. No, it wouldn't be a quick start. You would be you would be a low follow through.
Right.
You're thinking, I don't know, I'm not sure, it's not really good enough. Just send it. The quick starts did it, but didn't send it. And I'm talking to
low follow through.
the low follow through who's like, I just don't want to hit the button there. Okay, so I just want to backtrack on that and say, send it in. All the people that we give shout outs to, turn your phone on today, your desktop, your laptop, send it in. Let us give you an additional shout out. Plus, we want to give you a gift. Okay, so there you go. Just wanted to touch base on that because I had that. So let's
jump in. And as we jump in, just if you have any questions that come up, put a Q in front of it and put it in the comments. Ask the question, and we will do our best to. What we'll most likely do, it's the easiest way for us to do it, is to present what we have to present, and then we'll come back to the questions at the end. It's hard to keep up with the chat sometimes and answer the questions in the moment. So,
all right. You want to start with our document? You want to do this as a teaching education moment as opposed to an entertaining moment?
Sure.
You want to use the document that we have so that way we'll show the process, right?
Let me see how I can pull that up. 1 second. And we want to share that. We want to share that. Add to stream. And there we go. Okay.
Oh, love that.
So this is the document we talked about last week about how to structure a speech or a presentation. This is the one that we're going to give you today, and we're going to drop it in the chat at the end. So just follow along, take some notes, and then you can download the file later. So one of the first things you want to look at is your memorable or foundational phrase, what you or your brand is known for, preferably in 10 words or less. For us, and I'm going to just scroll down here to the one we filled in, that is this right here, conversations worth having. That's kind of what we're known for. That's the way we tag our podcasts. That's what we sort of, when we do a podcast, it's what we want to do. We want to be able to have a conversation worth having. And this flows through into everything that we do, any business networking, any relationship building, all of it.
So I'll make a comment about that. If we could go back to the first slide, sorry, go back to the first part. Okay, so with a memorable foundational piece, think about something that resonates with you that you want people to remember you by. So we'll use the word brand. We're remembered by because we took this lingo and we implemented it into all of our written material, our marketing material, conversations worth having. So think about what you want people to know you as. It's not necessarily a tagline. You might want to think of it as, when I think of Mel Bender, what do I say? When I think of David Foster, what do I think of Unapologetically You? When I walk into a room, everyone says, Rara's in the house. My other company has a tagline, we have conversations worth having. So think about that, and we'll help you create it if you don't have one, but definitely put something in there for you. So put yourself on the other side. Okay, awesome. We'll go to 1A.
So 1A then becomes your talking point or your idea. What is it that you actually want to talk about, and have it be a jumping off point from your memorable foundational or phrase. So for instance, today we wanted to talk about fun and powerful presentations. That is our main idea today. How can you give a fun and powerful presentation? So one of the ways you can do that is by following the structure. It sounds like, wait a minute. How can structure like this be fun? Well, the good news is that when you structure it like this, it gives you freedom within the structure to be unapologetically you, to bring all of your sense of humor, all of your beingness into the presentation. Catherine?
I don't want to repeat what you're saying. I'll just I'll talk about the next point. That's great. Awesome.
Okay, number 2.
Yeah. So we want to go to our talking point. We did fun and powerful presentations. Okay, great.
So number 2 is key ideas. That's the next step.
Right. Key ideas. Okay, so we'll go to our, sorry to flip back and forth.
It's okay.
So key ideas, we'll talk about, we had 3. So let's say in your 10-minute presentation, you can manage 3. And I'll highlight them and then you can talk about them if you want, Dr. Energy. So one is edutainment. You're going to hear about this in our most recently dropped podcast. The second is engagement. And the third is why. So let's break it down a little bit or dive into it. We don't break anything. It's nothing. We don't want to break it. We want to fix it. So let's talk about that. So what you want to talk about the supporting key ideas.
Right. So I'd just like to say a little bit more about the key ideas first. So what you're going to do here is, if you can see the flow of this, we started with, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, I know.
Yeah.
Conversations worth having. And then we wanted to have how to create fun and powerful presentations. That's what our purpose was for as an example in this, using this structure. So then what are 3 key ideas or 3 key messages that we want to get across to you, our audience? We sat down and we wondered, what is it our audience would like to hear about from us? Keeping that question in mind, what do we want people to get out of us? What questions are we getting from our community, what are they asking us about? And these were some of the things that were showing up. And so this is what we decided to address. Once you have those 3 key ideas, now you can move into your supporting info for those key ideas. So do you want to just go through those, or do you want me to go through them all?
You could go through them.
Okay. So our supporting info, for example, for the first one, for edutainment, you want to bring humor, you want to bring branding, and you want to bring some education, edutainment, education and entertainment combined. So this is something that both Catherine and I like to do, both Rara and I like to do, is have fun with whatever we're doing, whether we're doing it in a live stream, whether we're doing it on a video. And if you haven't seen some of our videos, we actually leave some of our bloopers in our videos, it just shows, like that, one, that we like to have fun, and 2, nobody's perfect, because you want to go for connection, not perfection. And then branding. How do you brand yourself with that edutainment? And that's what we're talking about here. We're having fun. We're branding ourselves, conversations worth having, BU network, and we're also sharing information with you. Educate, as we like to say sometimes, educating you. The next is engagement. And I'd like for you to chat about this, Catherine. This is something that you were very passionate about including and sharing.
Engagement, marriage, honeymoon, that kind of engagement?
A little different than that.
Oh, okay. Well, I really do enjoy when we have our audience's attention and when our audience wants to pay attention to us. When you're in school and you sort of are on the edge of your chair, or you're in a seminar and you want to be somehow recognized. Engagement is what can go on during your presentation. But before you get into the room, pre-event engagement is really important. You ask people to register. And when you ask them to register, if you say, give me your email and tell me your name, that's great. You learn someone's name and their email. If you can learn a little bit more about them, if you can find out why they're there, who invited them, what is it that they would like to see happen after this event or during this event, did they have some specific intention? You'll learn something about that person, and then you can have a lens on the room before you step out on stage or on Zoom. So if I know that the room is full of Gilders, I know I'm going to talk to people.
Guildies. We like to call ourselves Guildies. Yeah, right? I know you're not in there. You're not in there as much as you. I'm
not in there enough. I got to get in there. You're right. Yeah. And so then I'll know what the lingo is, and I'll know what the hot topic is, so I can reference it. If I don't know who's in the room, then I probably can't make that relatable reference the same. I can use my intuition for it, but the pre-event registration and the questions And standing in the room like we are right now, chatting with you prior to us presenting, warming up the crowd, making a comment that is important to you because it's personal. Of course, with 5,000 people, we can't do that, but you can certainly get a vibe and then give a vibe.
Yeah, the engagement, especially pre-event, a lot of my experience has been at a lot of different seminars and events that the speakers often they're kind of in the back or they're in a private room getting prepped to go out on stage, and they don't engage with the audience so much. Now, at a bigger event, I can understand that. When you're talking, 3, 4, 500 people, 1,000 people, you need to get your focus on to be on stage or to be in front of a room. When it's a smaller group, 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever, I think it's important to be in the room with the people, just having a conversation. Hey, how's it going today? What brought you here? Why are you here? What do you hope to learn? What do you expect to learn? What would surprise you to learn? And so you start asking people these things, and you can start to weave that information into your presentation. It's a little, step up from just showing up and presenting, but it builds that connection with your audience, and it makes your presentation that much more memorable and personalized for your audience. So that's always super important, in my opinion. Next, the third piece of the puzzle, the third thing that we want to talk about is why. Why is all this important? Why do you do what you do? Why do you have a business? Why is your business even existing? What's it for? What do you hope to accomplish in the world?
I got to share something.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Here's my why. I wrote it out. I have my why on an MP4. It took me years to develop this. And I read it, I look at it, I just went and I reached for it because it's right there by my fingertips. And it reminds me why I do the things I do. So if you said, hey, forget your live on Thursday, Dr. Energy and Rara, let's go play. Our why is strong enough that we're not going to deviate. Not because we don't want to come and play, not because we don't believe what you're doing is valuable or intelligent. It's part of our why and what we do. So whether you or someone else hops into that, it's our why. That's why you want your why, because you keep doing it no matter what anyone else says or thinks. And then that's the why that you wake up to, you go to sleep to, when you develop and you do things on a bright sunny day or a dark rainy day or a day where you feel like this is just not working. If you feel like that, you never quit on a bad why day.
On a bad day. Yep.
Right. So we have our why, and we would love for you to have yours. And if you don't, share someone else's until you create yours.
Yeah. And sometimes coming up with your why, if you've never sat down and done a little bit of journaling or introspection and then writing down the answers, you don't even have to call it journaling because people think, oh, journaling, artsy fartsy, whatever stuff. But if you haven't done the introspection to at least wonder about what your why is, start off with, how would you like to feel as a result of attaining your dreams and your goals? Start off with that feeling. I'd like to be happy. I'd like to be joyful. I'd like to be free from restrictions. I'd like to be able to get down on the floor and play with my, I hear this a lot in my chiropractic office. Well, I'd like to be able to get down on the floor and play with my kids, and I can't because I'm in pain.
And get back up.
I can't get back. Yeah, I can get down on the floor. I just can't get back up. Exactly. And when I do play, I have no energy, and I'm achy and sore for the next couple of days, and I get grumpy, and it affects my kids' mood because they know they don't like it when I'm grumpy. All these things. Start digging into that, and that will help you discover what your why is. For me, one of the big whys for me is it's about empowering greatness. Everything I do, every word I write, every word I say to somebody, every time I put my hands on somebody to assess them where they're at in their body mind system, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, Every time we stand up in front of a room, it's about empowering you, your greatness, helping you shine your light bigger in the world.
And one of the perspectives that you can think about if you're developing your why is think about how others will perceive what you're doing. So you can take it as an out-of-body experience. You can look at yourself from the outside, looking at you. What is it like for you when, I'll just see if I can grab a sentence, when we will stop at nothing. We won't stop until the world listens. Wow, it's a pretty powerful statement to be making. We're not going to stop until the world listens. And what is that world going to be like when you're accomplishing that? Because we know that when we write our whys, it was way before what's going on the last year and a half. So now when we're writing our whys, they may be a little different. I mean, think about if you're on this live right now, you probably know what it means to drive a car, but there will be unborn children and children who are born who will not know what it means to drive a car. So think about when we talk about what we want and how we want to empower greatness in others, pretty soon they'll be blinking their eyes and pushing a button, and empowering people will happen in a nanosecond, whereas maybe 10 years ago, we were working a lot harder for that. Right?
There's another great exercise you can do. It's writing your own obituary, as if somebody else was giving and speaking about you after you had passed. What is it that you would want to be remembered for? And then
that's another presentation.
That's a whole other presentation, a whole other exercise. But it's a great way to get in touch with your why of how you want to be remembered. So let's get back to our document here. I think we covered that pretty good. So we talked about our key ideas and then our supporting info for our key ideas. That's steps 2 and 3. And step 4 is then about having a memorable or engaging introduction based on what your topic is, because you want your introduction or how you introduce yourself. And it's not even in the introduction, because you're going to usually, when you give a presentation or a speech, somebody, the host, is likely going to introduce you. And in my opinion, I always like to have somebody else introduce me. It creates third-party credibility because all the other people in the room see somebody else introducing you, and it comes across differently than when you introduce yourself. So if you can get somebody in the room who you know to introduce you, or somebody you've done business with or helped them find a solution or have a transformation in their life as a result of what your work with them, get them to introduce you, because it'll come across more powerfully and start that connection with the audience more easily.
I'll interject something there.
Yes.
Just so that we can talk about, they could also give you a testimonial. So if we go back to the first document 4A, so what we call this part of this document is a memorable opening beginning. So not to confuse it with a bio or a testimonial. It's once somebody has done whatever platform you're on, once you've been in front of the room, we're at number 4 here. So you want to be able to say something that's memorable. So not the memorable foundational phrase, conversations worth having. That's what you want people to know you for. The opening or beginning would be, Dr. Energy, why don't you go for it?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever and whenever in the world you are.
That's a memorable opening and beginning. Mine is rah-rah is in the house. And if I talk about my other company, I'll say the line for that. So think about this as being something you want people to remember you by. That's a great example. There are many other kinds of examples, but I think that's a perfect one.
And then that leads into your topic. So you can do a segue from that into topic. And this is really what we're looking for here. And then we come back down here, 4B, we have the conclusion and or the call to action.
Not to be confused with a recap. Not to recap what you've just done. Please don't bore your audience. We don't want to bore you. We don't want to both say the same thing twice. Especially if you have 2 presenters. You have to really be mindful of the fact that you're not saying the same thing and people are going, I just heard you say that. So a conclusion, a call to action. A call to action, an example, we'll give you one if you want. Yep. I mean, maybe it'll be a little self-serving, but we can use one.
So join us again and come back next Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern And bring a friend.
Simple. Bring you right back to where we are. It's not necessarily the upsell part of your presentation. There are upsells and there are ways to do that. It's not to ask someone to come and join you for 97 days or 47 months. Or just think about a call to action that people can actually take action on. If it's long and complicated, your call to action is going to be very muddled, very wishy-washy. It's going to be a weak one. If you want a strong one, just make it short, sweet, simple, and to the point.
Exactly. And then the last step, believe it or not, is your title.
It feels weird. Like, why am I doing the title at the end? Because now you have a reason to put a title together.
Right. And the title can be sort of a summary or, very brief, or an indication of what it is that you're going to talk about. And it can be done in a fun way, an amusing way, an informative way, straightforward way. It all depends on you. So what we chose for today, as you all saw it on our post, is ready for your close-up. And so not only is it a statement, but it's also a question that the mind wants to answer. So we've now engaged you and your mind saying, are you ready for your close-up? And you're wondering, one, am I ready for my close-up? You want to answer that question. And two, what the hell are they going to be talking about?
And also, you might say, well, I want that question to be my opening statement. Most people will say, well, ask a question. Who here? And you want people to raise your hand. Yes, I understand that. Think about doing things that everybody doesn't do. Be the unique you that you are. Your question could be your title, which means that your first, we'll go back to our first statement up at 1A, conversations worth having. So when you sort of go through this more than once, right? Because you might be thinking, my title, I want to ask a question, I want people to raise their hands, I want to say, hi, my name is, my company is. Rethink this. Rethink that.
Would it be helpful if I sort of gave a little example
Sure.
of this, of what this whole first part could look and sound like?
Sure.
Okay.
Now that we did the educational piece,
Right.
you can stop screen sharing and then you can take the stage.
So let's do that. So imagine Catherine has just introduced me. Dr. Joe is a neurostructural chiropractor, co-visionary and co-founder of BU Network, and a podcast and plus producer. He's here today asking the question, are you ready for your close-up? Let's all welcome to the stage Dr. Joe Piazza. So, yay, Dr. Joe I come up to the stage.
I was actually willing to do that for you, but go ahead.
I wasn't sure how far we were going with the simulation. So we've done that. So I walked up onto the stage and right away, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Joe, Dr. Energy Piazza, are you ready for your close-up? Are you? And therefore now I go into, from there, talk about the key ideas. I'm here today to teach you about share with you about fun and powerful presentations. We're going to talk about three main things: edutainment, engagement, and your why. And we're going to get into some deeper discussion on each of those three things as we go through it. So blah, blah, blah. I've gone through all the three things. I hope you got some value out of today. I had a lot of fun being here, and I just want to thank you for your attention and your energy. Come on back next Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern and bring a friend. And that's your speech. That's your presentation.
Applause, applaud. Right. And the energy that you bring to the room, maybe you're not an energetic presenter. Maybe your subject matter is not of that vibration, but this is how we're doing it for today. So think about how you want your audience to feel. Again, know your audience, because if you're giving a different type of presentation about something not so happy, you want to set the tone, because you may have a conversation with people about something more serious. So know your audience, bring that in. Nobody knows what you're going to say. So if you don't say the thing that you want, then it won't happen. I just want you to know I lowered Alexa today to volume 3 so that she wouldn't be speaking over us. She's still part of it, but I just asked her to be lower because she's speaking right now. So when you presented like you just did, you brought my attention. I'm sort of thinking, okay, let me hear what you're going to say, because you got me. You really got me on that.
You really got me.
Got me.
You really got me.
And if you want to get your audience, think about where you want them to engage with you, and then you want them to stay with you. There's one thing about a good opening. There's another thing about sustaining that. So I recommend you turn on the video, turn on your camera, listen to your audio if that's what you want to do, and practice. And drop the notes. Practice without the notes. Practice how you breathe. Practice where you are in front of the mic. Practice if you're over here. Practice if you're over here. Practice how you look. Sit at the edge of your chair. Practice if you're slouching. And then pull your ideas together with your stage. Think of it all as a stage.
And I would recommend, and this comes from my Toastmasters training. I know I talk about Toastmasters an awful lot. It's because I've gotten so much out of it, learned so much from Toastmasters. Find somebody you trust to give you feedback. Now, don't just go to your husband or your wife, your best friend, or somebody like that, because they're gonna, it was a nice speech. I liked the message, blah, blah. That's all great. What we're looking for feedback-wise is a little bit more on the technical aspect. What did you see and how did it make you feel? What did you observe? What did you hear? Did you find, was there a connection? Was there any places where I dropped my energy? Was there any places where you lost interest and why? Was it something I said or did, or how I moved or used my voice? Or do I need to use more vocal variety? Do I need to have my voice come up higher and make it come down lower as well?
Yeah, I have something very specific to say about this. When you speak to your friends, your family, your relatives, and they say, that was a good speech, and don't forget to, that is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about somebody telling you what you could and should do. We're talking about the feedback on how you sound and how they engaged with you. When someone starts telling you all the things that you should do that's going to make it better just in case, that's not feedback. We really want you to understand what feedback is. When you talk to your friends, I'll say this nicely, don't listen to them. Speak to a professional about feedback on your presentation. Yes. If you start listening to your friends, you will lose yourself in your presentation and you will not have a focus, because the person that's giving you feedback is coming from another perspective completely, and they're not in it the same way you are.
Right.
That was as nice as I could be about that, Dr. Energy.
No, that's wonderful. And there's two things about feedback that you want to do. When you are receiving feedback about your own presentation, your own speeches, your own projects, whatever they might be, whether it's art or whatever, listen to it as if you're listening to the person evaluate somebody else. And when you listen to somebody evaluate somebody else's work, somebody else's project, listen as if they're evaluating your own. And there's the reason we do this, one is if we listen to somebody giving us evaluation about our own work as if the work was somebody else's, we can put a little bit of distance between the feedback and our own emotions. We don't take it as personally, thinking that the person doesn't like us. That's not what evaluative feedback is all about. Evaluative feedback is about, here's what I observed. It's my own personal opinion of what I saw, heard, and felt. And here's how you could improve upon it. It's not that the person doesn't like us. It's just what they saw, heard, and felt through their filters. So it just creates that little bit of distance so that we can take the information in.
So let me say this about that. This information that we're giving you today is one structure, a suggestion.
Correct.
When you put the time and the work in to develop your presentation and you're ready to give that presentation, know that you're not chocolate. You are not going to please everyone. You are going to do the best you can.
There are people who prefer vanilla over chocolate.
I understand. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
So you do the best you can. You go in prepared and confident. And if you muddle it, if you say the wrong word, super. It's fine. Just do the very, very best you can. I encourage you, when you put your clothes on, do you call your friends and say, should I wear this shirt? I asked no one about this shirt today. I
Right.
put it on. I'm wearing it. That's my choice. I didn't call everybody and say, what do you think? How do I look? Is it to this? Is it to that? I don't care. When I'm giving a presentation, I care that I'm speaking to my avatar, my persona, my target audience, that they are receiving me. I really don't care if you're not my target audience. I know this may sound a little abrupt. Remember, I am from New York. You speak to the people that you're speaking to. You get the response from them. If they're not the person that you're going to present your speech to,
It's okay.
ask them what they think of the blouse you're wearing or the shirt or the tie, because it's as relevant. The information is relevant when you get that. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Darlene. So glad that you're here with us.
All of our stuff, this is where I would head. I would go to
Right.
b-u.network/BU, and that is a link tree of all of our, it connects into our website, or to our podcast, to our coaching
It's a
services.
BU tree,
It's
Dr.
a
Energy.
BU tree, yes.
Just saying. And Janice said, yes, it was John Cusack. Thank Janet. Thank you, Janice.
You have to pay somebody, another company, that gets all of your link juice going to their website, because it'll be usually link.tree/your business name or whatever it is. You can actually create it on your own website very, very easily. Especially
And that's another presentation.
That's a whole other presentation. If you're doing it yourself, or if you've got a web designer, it's an easy page to create. If your web designer can't do it for you, let us know and we could talk.
We can talk. Give us a call.
Coffee
Let's
talk.
have a little. Yeah, let's go there.
That's my favorite. One of my favorite Saturday Night Live episodes, and especially when, because Mike Myers it was his ode to Barbra Streisand, to Babs, and then she was actually on for an episode, and he said, "Coffee talk. I'm feeling good." And Babs came on. He's like, "I'm feeling kind of verklempt. I'll give you a topic. You can talk about it." And then what was his topic? Darn, I forget what it was. Anyways, he gave them a talk and discuss amongst yourselves, and he went over and was all verklempt. It was quite funny. So I don't see any other questions that we didn't cover. Same bat channel, 11 a.m. Eastern, right here on Facebook for our live. Bring a friend.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, everyone. We appreciate you.
We'll see you on the other side.
Ciao.